We'll even make you a tutorial on how to change an alternator in a Mazda 626 LX. It could be different on different trim
2.0
packages.
liter.
Yeah, 2.0 liter. Not a 6-cylinder. Step 1. Easily and safely lift the vehicle so that the front passenger tire is up off the ground, ready for removal. Don't forget to loosen the bolts on the wheel before you pick it up into the air. It's a lot easier that way. These wheels use a 21mm socket. Evan's just using a breaker bar to loosen them and take the nuts off. He loves taking nuts off. Getting nuts off any way he can. You know. He likes jerking nuts off too, apparently. That wasn't very smooth. Once you've got the nuts loosened, jack up the car and make sure you use jack stands. Ugh. Because hydraulic jacks don't hold forever. Also, make sure you chock the rear tires. Ugh. We recommend professional chocks, but our budget allows for concrete. Say that again?
You can set the e-brake.
Yeah, you can set the e-brake too.
Which it is.
Yep. Yep. Good tip for the master mechanic. So the next step is going to be to remove the inner wheel cover so we can get to the alternator, which is back past it. So can't just go through it, you gotta remove it. Because we have very soft and delicate knees. Well, Evan does. It has nothing to do with the mud because we just washed the car. That's a bluff. Put down, you know, we're just putting down some carpet. It makes things nice and easy.
We got like 400 screws holding this piece of plastic on.
Yep, that's how it goes. This one's fixing to get ripped off. That's important. Don't lose this. It does something. That's why they put it there. We're still removing that inner wheel well. There's 3 bolts, apparently different sizes. And yep, just gotta get right in the way. Look like this. The Phillips is just a distraction. Use the socket set. More leverage. It's easier.
Even different threads.
Yep. So different sizes, different threads, different shapes.
8 and a 10.
Yep. 8 mil for the small one, 10 mil for the big one. And that screw is right there, next to the strut. And vice grips. Anything well, you don't need that part. That's the one weakness in this design. Is that one piece of plastic right there. And that other piece of plastic.
It's all plastic.
Yeah. Don't throw that away. We need that.
You could if you want.
It's okay. I'll put it over here with the other important pieces. You know, that. So now what are we doing?
I'm going to disconnect the battery since we're messing with electronics and electronic connections. So you could just take the negative off the battery and you'll be good to go.
Oh.
Right now we are removing the cross member on the bottom of the car. Let's get an outward shot here. So here's the front wheel coming in on the back side of it, going up underneath. There's 3 bolts, 1, 2, 3 on either side. They're 17 millimeters.
Yep.
And that removes this cross member to get us better access to the alternator. And he's struggling. Yeah. Needs to work out more.
Oops. I told you.
Oh.
I told you. Okay, is that recording?
Yeah, it's been recording.
Oh, it's been recording? Okay. So, hopefully you just saw that. There are some alignment, some pressed-in alignment studs is what I'll call them. And they go into holes, you know, in the unibody, just so it's aligned. They're not pressed in, don't worry about it. One whack of the hammer in the right spot, and it falls right out.
Which happens to be right.
Yeah. Can you see it? That's funny.
Yep.
Okay.
Looks good.
Okay, so the top bolt of the alternator is, what is it, 12 millimeters? 12 millimeters. Is 12 millimeters. I'll show it to you in a second. You might be able to see it right there. It's the top. Yeah, it's fairly, I mean, obvious, I think. So, this is what it looks like. Real nice. 12 mils on the top. This one comes all the way out. No big deal. Okay, so when you take the top bolt out, it'll be perpendicular to this bolt here. This is the adjustment bolt, is what I'm going to call it. In it, you see there's this piece of metal. It's threaded. So when you put this bolt back, if there's a hole in the bracket, happens to be right here at the moment, and this has to be square side down, and the top bolt will thread into this block, and then to tighten the belt for the alternator, you will, you know, screw this or loosen it as necessary. So don't lose this, it's important. Okay, so it's gonna be like this apparently. So coming in on the right side, on the front of the strut, towards the front of the car, up underneath, where my finger is at is the bolt to the lower end of, or the lower bolt of the alternator. But this, if you can see it, is the threads, and it or the end. It's not a bolt. You have to go all the way to the inside of the alternator, which you can't see, but you just go from here to the other end of the bracket and then up, and that is a 14 millimeter bolt. Okay, so we've got the alternator off, essentially. Now we're going to remove this motor mount. And so we've got the motor hooked up, ready to go. And then down here, this left bolt has a ground we got to take off somehow.
The first bolt is only for this ground, which is pretty stupid. And it's kind of a pain to get off. You have to find its sweet spot and then pull on it.
And then there's a bolt underneath it.
And then there's a bolt underneath it. So
you gotta do it twice.
Need a deep well.
Yeah, and you will need a deep well. Extensions, mechanic's friend, and breaker bar. There we go. That's two, and probably be pretty loose. Yep. There you go. Yep. You can tell because as soon as that tab hit the wall, they broke that bolt loose. He didn't snap it, but he broke it loose. And so now once this bolt, both these two have already been loosened. We just loosened this one, so we're going to put a little. We already have some tension on the chain. Yep. So now he's just going at it. Taking off the main bolt. Wiggle, wiggle, wiggle.
So we don't really need all of those.
Okay, so we removed these two nuts, just so we were going to try to drop the engine down. There's a tab right here that keeps the engine from just falling to the ground if the engine mounts fail. So we can't lower it any more than that. But we're almost able to get this alternator to come out through the front right wheel well area. Only 3 hours and 45 minutes. It's just probably more accurate than I want to admit to.
It comes out of the front bottom on this side. You just got to find the right way.
And
I think I turned it around. So I turned it like this. and then it just kind of, I just kind of pulled it out down the bottom.
Yep.
It will come out. You just gotta.
In front of it came out from in front of the strut.
Right here.
Yeah, from right area. There in that area. So trying to get the bracket off. It's probably gonna be a 2-person job.
Right. So I got the bracket off of the alternator. This is the bracket. This is the alternator, the old one. The bracket just went in there like so. Here's the bolt. I used torch to heat it up, hammer to just kind of beat around on the alternator. I didn't want to hit the bolt because I didn't want to bend it. And then I just used wherever it went. I used a breaker bar just to break it loose. Right there.
Okay, Evan. So since I wasn't listening earlier, what are you doing?
Well, I'm putting this bracket that I took off the old alternator back in because I already have the new alternator in, which I stuck it through this hole, the one that I got the old one out of. And so now the new alternator is in there.
Okay, and so are you going to bolt the bracket on first?
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I didn't get that.
Yeah, I'm gonna bolt the new alternator or the new bracket or the bracket.
The bracket to the engine, and then you're gonna.
First.
Okay.
Then put the alternator on it.
Okay, cool. So right now he's just putting that bracket. He's screwing the bolts in for that. Bracket on?
Yep.
Okay. Power steering pump belt off. Well, no, we don't. We loosened it.
Now it's off.
Yeah, to do that you have to loosen this bolt, which is very, very long. That's important. You also have to loosen this, which is the adjuster, and then you have to loosen the pivot point. Don't actually loosen here, loosen on the other side. If you turn this until it rotates, you'll break the shit out of it. And so we have the power steering pump belt off. Whoa. Now we're gonna put the alternator belt on, and then adjust it using the adjuster screw that I showed you about earlier. Yeah, that's
the reason we have to do this is because we cut the belt.
Yep.
Because we knew we were gonna want to get a new one anyways. Because the alternator was seized, and so it was just sitting on there and smoking. We loosened the power steering belt in order to get the other belt on to the alternator.
Okay.
So this is nice and loose now.
And then we did bolt in the alternator and the alternator bracket, right?
Yep, that's all ready to roll.
Sweet.
Just need to throw a belt on there, put the motor mount back on. Should be ready to go.
Time for a belt job.
Yep.
Okay, so once we put on the power steering pump belt and the alternator belt, all you have to do is tighten the belts, and then once you do that, you just have to put the engine mounts on.
Motor mount back on.
Yep, put the motor mount back on, and then hook up everything else you disconnected. So unfortunately, I'm running out of battery, and I probably won't be able to show you those individual steps. But installation is the reverse of removal. one of the things you guys didn't get to see, partly because it was a failure and partly because we were busy. The lower bolt of the alternator, we just could not get off. We only have hand tools. We don't have any pneumatic tools, so we could not get it with a hand tool. And when in doubt, hydraulics are your friend, right? So we took an engine hoist, had a little chain right there, some spare chain, and with a hook on the end, and yeah, we connected it to a wrench that goes to the bottom of the alternator, and you know, it didn't work like I said, but it was a good idea, I think. Evan probably doesn't think so, but it did sound like a good idea at the time. We haven't even been drinking. Toyota Factory does it. This is how the Toyota Factory builds these Mazdas. Yeah, but before you start, show us what you're doing.
I'm not sure it's gonna work.
Well, yeah, I know, but that's okay. It'll be a good blooper reel. So, when in doubt, just extensions.
Extensions for days.
Extensions and a U-joint on the end. I mean, you know, you can't tell me more isn't better, right? More's always better.